Hey everyone, it's Allie and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my first video of 2023. I am so excited for this year because I've had this channel for like a year now, I think, but I just really wasn't that consistent with posting on it last year. But I've spent a lot of time over the last month or so brainstorming ideas, and I have ideas like through the end of next year basically. So I'm going to try very, very hard to be consistent with posting 2 videos a week, and I'll talk more about that later in the video, but just wanted to introduce myself quickly if you're new here. My name is Allie, I am 30 years old, and I still love stuffed things. Meet Mr. and Mrs. Moose. I do have a main YouTube channel that I've had for 3 years that I post like thrifting content, thrifty lifestyle, thrifty home. So I've been on there for a while. If you want to check it out, I always have the link down below. But I realized that I wanted to create a lot of content centered around books and just kind of coziness in general. So that is why I decided to start this channel last year. But I realized that I never really had kind of like a video where I talked about who the heck I am, or why I love books and things like that on this channel. So that's why I did reach out to you guys and ask if you had any questions for me. And I did get a few, so let's go ahead and get into them. And then, as I said, I will talk more at the end of this video about my goals for reading for this year as well as for this channel. Okay, so just some more general information about myself. As I said, I am 30, I am married, I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary. No kids yet, unfortunately. I would appreciate your prayers in that area. But I do have 2 little puppy dogs. We've got an almost 5-year-old dog, Gibby, who's a total mutt. We got him the day we got back from our honeymoon, so that was a lot. And then we have another dog, an Airedale Bernard, and he just turned 3. I live in the Columbus, Ohio area. I have degrees in psychology and counseling. I love to just sit and chat with anybody. Feel free to chat with me in the comments. But yes, I have strong roots in Ohio, and I also have very strong roots in Pennsylvania, which is where the vast majority of my family and friends live. So you'll see me traveling to PA a lot, I'm sure, as I vlog on this channel. I will share bookstores in Pennsylvania. So you'll see a lot of Ohio content, but you'll also see a lot of Pennsylvania and hopefully other states as well, because I really, really do love traveling, and my husband Ryan and I have plans to go on a few trips this year, so get excited for that. Now let's get into the questions that you guys actually asked. So what are some of your TBRs for 2023? So I am going to do a whole video, probably next week actually, where I go through every single one of my to-be-reads, and I have a lot. Like, I'm talking like a bookshelf and a half, because as I said, I've been planning a lot for my content next year, and I have a lot of challenges I want to do, a lot of like themed reading. So as I've been thinking about that, I've just kind of been picking up the books, and I'm so excited for like every single thing on my TBR. I'll give you a little inside scoop to some of those challenges later in the video, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that video when it comes out. But I will say, of all of the new books that are going to be published in 2023, the one that I am most excited for is definitely Kate Morton's new book. She's an Australian author, and she writes like my favorite kind of story, where there's a character who is like in the present, who is finding out information about a character in the past, and you're kind of having these 2 different storylines going at the same time, and then they intersect in some way at the end. She's an excellent, excellent writer. I love every single one of her books. 5 stars like immediately, I'm already calling it. But if you like historical fiction and just a dang good novel, a dang good story, then I would absolutely recommend checking out her books. She doesn't have a ton right now. I think maybe 5 books she's written. She puts them out every few years or so. So it's definitely like Christmas when she puts a new one out, and I will be buying that immediately. Other books in general that I'm excited to read are like Kate Atkinson's books. I just like people whose names are Kate, I guess. I've read, I think, 4 or 5 of her books over the last year or so, and they're all 5 stars from me. She writes historical fiction, mainly, I would say, is the overall genre, but it's written in such an atypical way. It's hard to even describe. She'll like say somebody died or something in the first couple pages, but you won't find out how until later on in the book. There's a lot of jumping back and forth, and she's just an exceptional storyteller because it always comes together really well. And she has like a little bit of a dark UK humor, which I do enjoy. But yes, overall, I've loved every single one of her books, and thankfully she has like probably at least 10 more that I haven't read yet, so I'm going to be reading a lot of those throughout this next year. But I'll probably do a short about the new releases that I'm most excited for, so be on the lookout for that as well. What's your favorite book genre? I would say historical fiction. I feel like I didn't read a lot of historical fiction this year, but then when I was pulling out my 5-star reads, which will be my next video, I feel like every historical fiction book I read was a 5-star read for me. I also do love fantasy, but I didn't read a whole lot of it this year. I just feel like I wasn't super in a fantasy mood this year, but I do have a lot planned for this coming year. So hopefully I can like get myself back into it. But I felt a little bit disappointed with the ones I read, but I am going to be starting the Court of Thorn and Roses series that everyone is obsessed with. I'm going to be doing a challenge where I try to read those in a week. So that will be coming up. I'm gonna do it at the end of January, so you'll see it in February, but I'm very excited for that because I know so many people absolutely love that series. I also do tend to enjoy a good literary fiction novel. Am I ever going to drink this coffee? Who knows? I'm not a super big fan of the ones that are just like really depressing and make you cry. Not that into those kind of literary fictions, but I do just really appreciate a well-told story, you know. Romance is not really my favorite, and also like chick lit is probably my least favorite genre. You won't really catch me reading too much of that. But I am doing a Reading 2022 book talk challenge in March, so I will be reading some more romances, some more chick lit there, and hopefully I can change my mind a little bit. But a genre that I really fell in love with over this past year is thrillers. I have been absolutely loving thrillers. I gave a lot 5 stars this year and a lot more like 4 to 4.5 stars, and I just find that I keep wanting to reach for them on my to be read shelf. So that is definitely a genre that I foresee reading a lot of in 2023. But yeah, like I said, I just like a good story. Really, it doesn't matter what genre it is if it's just well written and interesting and unique in some way. Do you keep all the books you read or pass them along to other people or donate them? So I have been kind of hoarding books right now because originally I was gonna do a video where I like talked about every single book I read this year because I was doing a really bad job of reviewing them, like every 10 books or so. That was my original plan, and I literally did that for the first 20 and that's it. But instead I decided I am only going to be sharing the 5-star reads, and if you want to know all of the books that I read, you can check out my Goodreads, and I might do a short where I just like literally show every single book I read really quickly. We'll see, but anyway, to answer the question, I am gonna do a video where I go through all my books and unhaul them. But anything that I gave 3 stars to, or even some of the 4 stars that I just don't really care about keeping anymore, I'll probably first offer them to my mom or my sister or whoever, and then if they don't want them, I'll probably then go to Half Price Books just to see if I can get a couple bucks for them, and then I will absolutely donate them. But I do plan on having an epic library one day, so I do like the idea of hanging on to books and only really getting rid of the ones that I don't care about at all. Who are some of your favorite booktubers? So I am new to this world of booktube. I feel like I just didn't even realize, like unintelligently, that people made a lot of content about books. So I've really only been watching booktube, I would say, for about a year, but I really like Jack in the Books. I think he's just very pleasant to listen to. I like the content he puts out in general. I also really like Haley Pham. I feel like she's like the queen of booktube. Probably everybody follows her, but she makes really engaging content, really cozy vlogs, and does a lot of cool challenges that I hope to do in the future as well. And another person that I have been watching a lot is Kara's Bookshelf. I think that she's just super funny and her personality really comes out in her videos. So I actually just like binge watched a lot of her videos over this weird like week between Christmas and New Year's. But there are so many. That's definitely not everybody I watch, but those are the 3 that come to the top of my mind when I think about it. How is the book you are writing for your father coming along? Okay, so that's exciting. So my dad and I are working together on his memoir. So basically we have 2 Google documents. We've got one where he kind of brain dumps, but in an organized way actually. Like, he is a good writer on his own, but he'll just write everything that he's thinking, and he has an incredible memory. So this book is going to be very detailed, which I feel like is just going to be awesome. And then I take what he writes and I just polish it up a little bit. I will include some history about what is going on in the world and the environment, so that way there can just be that added context. And we're going to put pictures in, and my dad is German and he grew up with like a lot of those Pennsylvania Dutch recipes and things like that. So we're gonna have pictures and recipes and a family tree. So I'm so excited for how it's coming along. We have not done very much the last month or so, just with the craziness of the holidays, but I'm very excited to really get back into writing a couple hours a day. Our tentative release date, which I'm saying it is going to happen, is April 17th, which is his birthday. I am just gonna self-publish on Amazon because I wanna make it exactly the way that we want, but I am looking forward to in the future, for future novels of mine, I am really hoping that I will be able to get published outside of self-publishing, so that way my books can be in bookstores and other places, and I might actually make a little bit of money from books, because that is definitely my ultimate career goal, is to publish like a book a year. But I would say overall the memoir is going well so far. I am so excited to share it with you guys because my dad truly has had an incredible life of ups and downs. That's kind of the theme of the book, how much of a roller coaster his life has been, and his faith, his Christian faith, is definitely a theme throughout as well. And we hope that he'll actually be able to go do talks and presentations, kind of sharing his story to different groups of people after the book is published. Okay, just a few more and then I will quickly talk about kind of my goals for reading and for the channel for this year. Favorite quote from a book you've read. Okay, so I did think about this for a little bit. I did come up with a few that I really like. So one is Lewis Carroll from Through the Looking Glass, Why Sometimes I've Believed as Many as 6 Impossible Things Before Breakfast. I actually have this quote framed in my bedroom, and I just love the idea of this. I mean, Lewis Carroll, he was literally on drugs when he wrote Alice in Wonderland, so if you've ever read those books, you know, they're kind of all over the place. Like, you can tell the dude was on drugs. Oh hey, me editing. Inception. But as I was editing, I thought, I should probably fact check this. Was Lewis Carroll actually on drugs when he wrote Alice in Wonderland? And turns out it is most likely just a rumor, but he did have weird hallucinations that caused him to feel bigger or smaller, and that is why people now say Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Hopefully I got that right, but I have to pay respect to Mr. Carroll. Apparently he was not actually on drugs. But I do really love that idea. I love reading that when I wake up in the morning because I am certainly a big dreamer. As my friend Cassie, who actually asked this question, says, we both are inflicted with creative ADD. We just want to do all these different creative things in life, and that is something that I'm working on, is narrowing it down to what I really love so I can put my full energy into those things. But I think you just have to have these big dreams and then have actionable steps to actually meet them. But yes, I'm a dreamer, so I definitely relate to that quote. Another one that I absolutely love is from The Velveteen Rabbit, which I think is just one of the sweetest stories. Like, so sad, but so sweet. I love it. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. I just love that. It makes me feel so warm inside, and yes, Velveteen Rabbit is absolutely one of my favorite children's stories. Just stories in general, not even just a children's story. And I also love from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I am a Harry Potter girly, okay? It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Just a good reminder when I'm getting too caught up in my dreams, like in Alice in Wonderland world. But those are kind of the three that I immediately thought of when I got that question from Cassie. What author would you love to have coffee with? Everybody who knows me knows I absolutely love Roald Dahl, who I'm sure you are familiar with, the absolutely iconic author of the BFG, Matilda, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. Like, everything he wrote is just so wonderful. And as I said earlier, I like that kind of dark UK humor, and he really brings that into his stories. There's a lot of evil in his stories, but good always triumphs. And I just love that. I loved his books ever since I started reading. I just think he's incredible, truly the world's most scrumdiddlyumptious storyteller, and I would probably be terrified to meet him in real life. Unfortunately, he did die before I was born, so that won't happen until I get to heaven, hopefully. But he definitely was a sassy man. I would definitely be scared of him if I were to meet him. He probably wouldn't be uber friendly from what I've read, but I just think he is so fascinating. And I like that he did so much else besides write. Like, he truly lived such a full life, and I would highly recommend just reading about him if you can. I do plan on visiting his home in England. He has like a very cool estate, and he worked in like a garden shed basically is what his office was. So that's 100% on my bucket list. Hopefully in the next couple years I could go visit that home, because I just think it would be so incredible. So I'd love to have coffee with him, even though it would be scary. And then last question, if you could live in a book, any book, what would it be and why? And when I first read this, I thought of Harry Potter. As I said, I am a Harry Potter girly. In like times of peace, you know? I love Harry Potter because it's fantasy, but there's reality in it as well. I'm not super into the fantasy worlds that are like not connected to our modern world as well, you know what I mean? I actually wrote a fantasy book for middle grade students mostly, but I wrote it hopefully so everyone could enjoy it. It's called Crossing Worlds if you want to check it out, always linked down below. But that's how that story is. So there's our real world that we all live in, and then there's like a fantasy element to it. So Harry Potter, Narnia, stories like that, those are like my favorite kind of fantasy stories. So those are the worlds that I thought of when I read this question, like Narnia, again, in times of peace, and Harry Potter in times of peace. Basically just a world that is ours now with some magical elements to it, I think would just be such a cool place to live. Okay, that took me way longer than I thought to say all of that, so I will quickly go into what I plan on doing on this channel this year. So as I said earlier, I do want to do a lot of challenges, so I'm going to be doing some challenges where I try to read a series in a week. So first up, I'm going to be reading Mistborn in a week, the original trilogy, not like every single book. The original Mistborn trilogy are my husband Ryan's favorite books, so I've heard a lot about them from him over the last year or so, and I've been really wanting to read them myself. So I'm going to try to read the first 3, and I'm actually going to be starting that on January 3rd, so you'll see that video in just a few weeks, see if I'm able to do it. But I'm also going to be doing videos like reading 7 romances in 7 days leading up to Valentine's Day. I'm going to be reading a month of 2022 book talk books that I never got around to last year. I'm going to be reading my favorite books from middle school, books that I read like 50 times but I haven't touched in 15 years. So I'm excited to do a lot of those different kind of challenges, but I'm also going to be doing, of course, book hauls and just chats about books in general. I'm going to be much better this year about actually reviewing books as I'm reading them. So what I plan to do is just review everything that I read during the month at the end of the month. So you'll be getting a review video every single month. I'll also be filming hopefully 1 a season. I'm thinking like a super cozy read with me. So I'm gonna be going to a cabin in the woods next week, and hopefully there will be some snow and it'll be really scenic. So I'm planning on doing like a half-hour read with me there. And I'll also be doing vlogs a couple times a month as well, cozy days in my life, things like that. But if you have any ideas for any videos at all, just let me know down below. I really do want this channel to be quite well-rounded. I don't want every video to be just me sitting here. I am really excited about these challenges and vlogs. But yes, any ideas, just drop them down below. Also, in terms of book goals, I did set a 100 book goal for myself. That is what I set for myself last year, and I ended up reading 83 books, which at first I was kind of like, oh, I was hoping I could get to the 100, but I had some really slow reading months like last summer, and then when I looked back at 2021, I had only read 31 books, so yeah, I read a lot more last year than the year before that. But in 2023, I think I will easily be able to hit the 100 book goal because I just have truly fallen in love with reading again. And I don't really like spend any time on social media anymore or watch TV or anything like that. Truly reading is what I absolutely love to do in my free time, and I found that it is so much better for my personal mental health to stay off the internet, stay off social media as much as possible. So I do have Instagram accounts. I literally have like 5 Instagram accounts, but I really just go on there and post and get off. So you can follow me down below, follow me on my Instagram, follow me on Goodreads, but the best way to talk with me is in the comments of the YouTube videos. All right, well, I just chatted, and this is gonna be a lot longer video than I expected, but I do hope you enjoyed. Cheers to you. I'm actually gonna finish my coffee now, and I cannot wait to see you for my next video where I talk all about all of the 5-star reads I had in 2022, and I believe I had about 25. So it was a good reading year for me, for sure. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe. So excited to bring you 2 videos a week for the rest of the year, hopefully. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.